Please join me in welcoming to the stage for their fireside chat, Olivia Owens and Elfried Samba.
Amazing. I hope you guys aren't tired of me yet. This is going to be a really great conversation. I am realizing that the word of the day has been cringe, which I wasn't expecting that one, but we'll roll with it. But this conversation is really about the fact that authenticity is something that's talked about so much in this space, so much so that it's almost become cringe in itself. And so wanted to chat with Elfried about what does it mean to be authentic in 2025? How should creators be thinking about their personal brands? And Elfried, I would love to give you the opportunity to just introduce yourselves to the audience.
Well, before we even start there, and I start telling you a little bit about myself and why I wear a hat, and I'm a weirdo up on stage right now. I came all the way from London, England, and everybody seems a little bit too chill right now. So I'm going to do the thing that I do whenever I go up on stage, because if anybody has the right to be tired, it's me. Right? Everybody here should be energetic. So when I say new, you say York. New? York. New? York. Now we're awake. That's why I like North America. My name is Elfried Samba. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Butterfly Effect. My previous life, I used to be the global head of social at Gymshark, and then from time to time I post on LinkedIn.
And we love that.
I wear hats.
We have another LinkedIn creator here with us. So to start off this conversation, it seems like authenticity is everywhere and nowhere in 2025 as a buzzword, but often missing in practice. So how do you think about brand building today?
It really should be one of those things that are getting shredded out there, right? So everybody uses it, but they didn't really understand what it means. Well, from my perspective, I think that everything and everything starts with self-awareness, right? So if you think about the story about Gymshark, for example, the reason why Gymshark was able to grow into a £1 billion brand was because Ben was the most self-aware person on planet Earth. He recognized, and I don't know whether anybody here watches soccer, I call it football, but you guys throw the ball with your hands and you collect, and that's the whole conversation. But effectively, so Ben recognized that most people, if they were the owner of their own football team, they would make themselves the striker or give themselves a position that they love the most. But he recognized that he wasn't even good enough to be in the starting lineup. He put himself on the bench and got other people in to almost like do the work for him, and he could learn from them and then come back to the scene. And I think that starts with everything, right? So whenever you're doing anything from a content perspective, you have to be self-aware enough to understand who you are and what value authentically comes to you, right? And a good way for you to understand who you are is this framework called an Ikigai, right? It's a Japanese philosophy about your true purpose. And you ask yourself 3 main questions. What am I passionate about? What am I good at? What can I be paid to do? And what does the world need? And then the intersection of that 4-part Venn diagram is your Ikigai, right? That's the biggest value that can bring to the world. You can build businesses off the back of it. You can create content off the back of it. And I think that once you know who you are, and then you focus on the value proposition you got to offer, that's what you bring to the world. And I think that's the way that you are authentic to yourself.
I totally agree. I think we've had a lot of discussion today about what does it look like to find that intersection between what your community wants from you and what the lifestyle that you want to live. I think a lot of your experience comes from your time at Gymshark, growing their community to 20 million. I'm curious, like, what were the non-negotiables in that context that kept the brand rooted in something real, even while chasing growth?
So a couple of things happened, right? When we first started the business, you are the customer. So everything that you post about, you put out, is based on how you feel at the time, right? Because you're the cool kids, right? You're like 23, 22, and everything that you think about is real. And then as you start to get older and the world changes, you almost have to still be able to navigate. And remember that the brand is not what's happening in your heads, right? The brand is the persona that is out there in the world. So if I or somebody in my team posted about something, it wasn't, this is what Elfried thinks, this is what Gymshark thinks. This is a real person, right? So you have to humanize and personify the brand. So the thing that we did is we had to identify what our North Star is and the reason why we show up every day is. And what we established or nailed it down to was the fact that we're here to unite the conditioning community, right? So everything that we do, from the content that we post to the activities that we do, to the artists that we sign, to the campaigns that we make, should be to unite the different realms of fitness together to showcase that we're more common than we are different, right? So whenever we'd put something out, we'd say, how is this uniting the conditioning community? Which meant that we could get involved in trends and things that are happening outside of our world, but keep it really synced to who we are. So we call it a red thread. So if you have a red thread towards everything that you do, and you can distill it into like a simple statement or a tweet, that becomes a deciding factor towards every decision that you make and all the content that you create.
And so now you've gone out on your own, you run your own business, and you have a large personal brand. What is the red thread in your personal brand?
So my red thread is I want to give away an idea a day, right? And I want to be the most valuable person in the room. So everything that I do is all about how do I give more value to the other person than to myself. So whenever I'm putting something on a channel, so for example, the reason why I'm not on any other channel but LinkedIn like consistently is because I was in good looking enough for Instagram, right? I was in creative enough for YouTube, but I was nerdy enough for LinkedIn, right? So I was like, for who I am, that's the place that I can become the most useful and the most valuable. And I can do that every single day, right? So what I did was I said, you know what? The value that I provide is the fact that I help people and brands grow and scale their community. And the platform that allows me to do that consistency is LinkedIn, because I just have to put some notes out. I don't have to be overly fancy. I have to think about the creativity too much because the idea travels further than the conceptualization of it, right? And I just started doing that. First I said, I'm just gonna do it once a week, twice a week, and then that's why I call my company Butterfly Effect, right? Because small things become big things, right? So once you know what your value proposition is, you pick your platform where your audience appreciates what it is that you're putting out there, and you have a system where you start little by little over time, that compounds and you can take over the world.
What do you see creators getting wrong about personal brand now?
They don't start. They just don't start. Like, the amount of people that have told me about their plan to start their personal brand is insane. I'd be Jeff Bezos if I got paid $1 every single time someone told me that I'm thinking about starting my personal brand. How you know that this isn't happening is only 1% of people on LinkedIn actually post. Whereas 55% of people engage actively every day. So you're telling me that everyone's lurking? Got a bunch of ghost followers, right? So everybody's on the platform, consuming every day, adding value to everybody else, which is great, but you're not even able to add value from your own perspective, right? I think it's because we all become the main characters of our own lives. We have spotlight syndrome and believe that everybody's looking at us. And we think that if we don't get it perfect and right, then everyone's gonna laugh at us. Whereas if you're not willing to be embarrassed, embarrassment is the cost of growth and success, right? If you are scared to be embarrassed, then you don't even deserve, all right, to be in the same room as some of these people that we're talking about, right? That's the minimum bar. Like, embarrassed, like, you don't even know most of these people that will be embarrassed by, right? So actually, once you can get over yourself, right, get very comfortable with the idea that actually people don't even pay you for your successes, they pay you to hear about your failures, right? So failure, embarrassment is just a part of the process. And if anything, if you tell everybody, I'm gonna show you how to win $1 million, everyone will be like, oh, I've heard that before. I'm gonna show you how not to use $1 million, right? If you're gonna get a corporation to get on your side, tell them how not to lose. Because most people are scared of losing than they are of winning, right? So it's just the thing about human psychology. We care more about survival. We make things a lot bigger than what we think it is. And if you zoom out, if we're all to get like a space shuttle, if Jeff Bezos was generous enough, or Elon or something like that, to take us all up to space, and if we could see the Earth from that perspective, we realize how small we are. And the thing is, we're significant, but we're equally insignificant at the same time, right? So whenever you see yourself making things a lot much bigger than they is, just remember, it's not that deep, right? That's it.
Mic drop. I would say that absolutely sums it up. I think one of the pieces and one of the components behind that embarrassment is you're putting yourself out there. And I think we talk a lot about parasocial relationships and that strange dynamic that we have with all of these people who think they know us and they don't that's not necessarily true. I think some creators create a persona that like separates their own identity from the audience that they connect with. I'm curious, in growing such a large audience, like how do you navigate the level that you share, the amount of vulnerability that you bring to the table versus like Elfried, who has to live his own life every single day?
Is this a safe space? So I'm going to give you guys the real reason why I wear the hat. So really, truly, I'm an introverted person that's scared of everything, right? So my mom, right, is Congolese, right? And we grew up in South Africa for a little bit. And crime in South Africa is high, right? So she was scared of everything, right? So that trickled on to all of us. So we're scared to do anything that's like an adrenaline junkie. We were scared for our safety. My mom, whenever she drives, she'll be really, really scared. So I was scared to drive. Everything was just like, and also being African, doctor, lawyer, engineer, we just heard about it, right? You're basically obedient towards everything, right? So you don't want to make mistakes, because if you, when I was in school, if you had a test out of 10, and if you got one wrong, you got hit one time. Got 5, I got hit 5 times. They basically didn't want you to make any mistakes. So you come from that environment, and you get scared to put yourself out there. You get scared to not be perfect. You get scared to not get things right. But what I had to do is, can we swear here? Yeah, I had to mindfuck myself, right? So what I did was I created a persona. I started method acting. I said, you know what? The Alfred that you see at home, that's my real persona. But then when I go into this stage, I need to create a character that helps me almost like convey confidence and be my alter ego. And then over time, the worlds just merged, and now I can wear the hat I can't wear. It's the same thing, but then people won't recognize me. But I think Beyonce called it Sasha Fierce.
Yeah.
I think Kobe Bryant called it the Black Mamba, Michael Jordan, the Black Cat. All these people have a persona that they lock away and they bring in when it's go time. Otherwise, talking in front of all of you, it's nerve-wracking. But then when I wear my hat, I'm cool.
You are cool. How many people here have a persona that they put on when they do content? Anybody want to try it in the future now hearing this? I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think I deal with that perfectionism piece as well. And I think being surrounded by so many people who have done what you want to do is so powerful. That's why we're here. And I think to hear somebody like Elfried come to the table and say, you know what, this is actually terrifying, can feel so validating. So I appreciate your vulnerability in that.
And just to add to that, has anybody ever watched Inception? Right?
Yeah.
Do you know the thing that he spins to see whether he's in a dream or not? Right? That's the hat thing, right? So I know that when I'm wearing it, I'm in a dream. This is not real life. Don't take things personally, right? You're in a new world where you're really confident, when everything's going to go well, where everything you say is going to laugh, everyone's going to laugh. so that everything's going to land. I think I'm Kevin Hart right now. Kind of funny as hell. But really, when you can separate yourself, because the world of business, the world of content creation, people get just so stressed and anxious by it, right? If you can trick yourself or mindfuck yourself to say that this is not real life, this is just what I do and how I create, and I don't take anything personally. The comments don't mean anything. What people are saying, that doesn't mean anything. That's just like fugazi, right? What you see in real life, the people that you interact with in real life, the people that actually care about you, that's real life. And whatever that is, whether it's a hat, whether it's a spinning thing, whether it's whatever it is that allows you to disassociate what's happening in the content world is what's happening in real life, that will help you be able to endure the journey of content creation, because you expose yourself. And you have to be able to have a lot of conviction and self-love to be able to live through all of that.
I love that. I'm curious, when looking back at your career so far, what moment felt most pivotal, even if it didn't feel that way in the moment?
So, that's a really interesting question, because there's loads, but then one that is very directly correlated to me deciding to put myself out there. So, I obviously worked at Gymshark for 7 years, but the first 3 years, I was basically like, till this day, we posted at 3 p.m. UK time and 7 p.m. UK time. I still get PTSD, right? Every time I get a bit of anxiety, I look at the time and I'm like, because we used to post at this time, right? And so it came at a point where I couldn't be the person that was still creating the content and putting it out there. Because if you want to be a great leader, you have to work through your team, right? And think about it this way. Talking about anxiety and anxiousness, like Gymshark did 99% of its marketing on social. So, and the revenue of the business was decided by what we did on social. So you can make or break your brand in the tweet. And to add even more insult to injury, within 0.2 seconds, the CEO, the founder, the COO, the finance people are all liking the posts and in the comment section. So now you're saying, I'm just got comfortable being the person that like delivered consistently. Now you want me to trust other people to do that? And my neck's on the line? Oh my God, right? But then what happened there is I realized that I had to learn how to work through the team and be able to understand the art of management. That was terrible, right? I actually used to sit down next to Ben, who's the owner of Gymshark, and he basically told me, Alf, we love you, but this management thing isn't working, right? You're too in the thing, you're not letting go. So you're gonna have to figure out how to express your creativity in a different place. Why don't you go back on LinkedIn? That's where we found you. You have all these ideas that when probably not gonna use over here, why don't you go share them with everybody else? And I was like, oh, that's interesting, right? So I can still create, I just have to pick a different canvas. And a lot of people always used to tell me, well, you helped grow Gymshark's audience, but you have 200 followers. I was like, all right. In the words of Jordan, I took it personally. Then I went on LinkedIn and I said, you know what? I'm gonna give an idea a day and then see what sticks. And then it just compounded from there. So that moment of letting go, accepting evolution, and accepting the role of being from Michael Jackson to Quincy Jones allowed me to still be able to get my creative edge on the platform where people appreciated what it is that I wanted to do. So I wouldn't be on the stage if it wasn't for that moment.
Wow, thank you for sharing that. If anyone walks away from this conversation with one core truth about building a real brand in an overexposed world, what would you hope it is?
Self-awareness is key. Don't try to be something that you're not. And if you can't do the Ikigai in the most authentic way possible, get people that you know that are brutally honest. We all have somebody, I have a few of them over here, that will tell me if I'm not being myself. Right? So find yourself people that you trust, that will be brutally honest with you and call you out on your bullshit, whether you're being real with yourself or not. And then pick the side of you that is most valuable to the platform in hand, right? People say, I'm being authentic, I'm gonna post me whether playing around with my cat. No, on LinkedIn they don't give a shit about that. I'll tell you, right? But they do on TikTok, right? So figure out where that value proposition is most valuable and just show up every day. You get 1 like, you get 2 likes, you've earned those likes, right? You know how many people will have a meltdown if they got 200 likes? Look at this room right now, right? There's over 200 people here. That's a lot of fucking people. I think that for some reason, we just think that unless you go 1 million or bust, you haven't done anything, right? So be very thankful of every follower that you get, and that's the thing that we'll never lose, right? Whether we still do the comments till this day. It means the world to us, right? And that's when you can tell the difference between creators that actually scale because they think about every single individual follower, and they didn't just see it as a collective, right? And that's, I think, is super, super important. Just show up every day, earn every follower, be grateful for everything that you're doing, because we're living in a crazy time. We told our parents that we're doing this. I'm on a stage, not because I play basketball or football, but because I'm a nerd on LinkedIn. Hey, see this? It's a crazy time that we're living in. That's not news perspective.
Amazing. Well, thank you, Elfried. We really appreciate you sharing your experience. You had one thing that you wanted to share.
Actually, so a lot of people, so on LinkedIn, I always post like bite-sized pieces of content because I know the platform. And I know a lot of people don't have the attention span to be able to like actually like get into the detail of anything. So alongside Teachable, I'm actually going to be launching my first ever personal branding masterclass on the platform. So much so, I wanted to get it completely right that I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning today to refine it for everybody in this room and change the price of everything, even though everyone told me, don't do that yet. So it's available for $99 for everybody that's going to be here in this room. And then on Monday, I'm going to release it to everybody else on LinkedIn. So everyone in this room gets it early, and I think the QR code's going to be up there. For anybody that wants to be the first people to support the cause. But I've actually said to Olivia, the team, and this is unofficial yet, I said that actually beyond this, for everybody that's going to be involved, we're going to have iterations and new versions of it to go into greater details based on the comments that I get back, right? So I really want to make sure that everybody actually has the tools to be able to build their own personal brand and for it to be tangible. But you can also have a direct access to me there as well. So thank you guys for turning out.
Thank you. We have a couple minutes for questions. So if anybody has a question for Elfried, feel free to raise your hand.
Question is more of a statement. I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. But I go to a lot of conferences, like a ton. And like get into the middle of the day and like you sharing your tips and the get over yourself and just like how big we make things and they're just really not, and what causes us to stop. I just wrote down, like, I really appreciate the intimacy of the conference. A lot of times, myself included, we make people these like big things. Even like I teach sales too, so like my candidates, they're like, oh my God, they answered my LinkedIn message. Yeah, who cares? Like, okay, send the message. But I've done that too, right? Like coming in and seeing people. I found this conference through Gabby. And I've watched Gabby for years, and like seeing her, I'm like, wow, cool, she's a human, great, this is amazing, it's great to be in your space. So saying that to say, like, you tying all of this in together and people being able to be honest and vulnerable has been like really, really helpful. So I just wanted to say thank you.
So when you brought up the hat thing, I was like, oh, it's the same thing I'm doing with my glasses as well.
There we go.
You know, it's like rose-colored glasses kind of thing. It's like it's blue screen. I'm always creating. I have to have blue light. So I woke up at 4 making content. Same thing. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. I can't sleep to go to this event. So I'll go. So when you brought up the hat thing, I was like, yeah. I feel like, no, I know I'm on the right path, right?
Yeah.
Doing this, right? Yeah, doing this, right? Still, thank you, Venus. Still a 9-to-5er, right? But I actually love my career, right? I mean, I got laid off, that's fine, that's cool. But when I was in that meeting thinking about that, I was like, think about all the content I can make about this, right? And I was like, okay, I'm gonna land a job in 100 days. Scratch that, 80 days. Did it, and I was like, if I could do this, I could teach someone else to do this too and move forward. So that's what I decided to do, and thank you for being you, man.
But by the way, holding on to that mic, there's 3 things I want to say at the back of that, right? First and foremost, you're the ultimate reframer. Like, I love that shit, right? It's like, do you know how hard it is in the world right now? And for you to be able to have a mindset where you flip a negative into a positive all the time, I can hear you checking yourself and iterating your mind as it goes along, right? That is really hard to do, right? It's so easy to go in a downward spiral where things don't happen to you, they happen for you.
Yes. Everything happens for a reason.
And usually life is either working for you or working on you to be prepared for the life that you're gonna have, right?
Exactly.
So, and at the end of the day, hey, hear those bars? But what I was saying is, so the analogy that I used to use, right, is that in the gym, those that almost like can take the most resistance build the biggest muscles. So why don't we accept that in life? Hey?
It's still going. Let's go.
And then going from there, right? So the whole thing about the method acting is the sexy version of my story. The other side is, when I was 25, I used to look at like my older brother and my dad, and they all were bald, right? And I said, okay, so in 5 years' time, you're telling me that that's my future? I don't want anybody to notice that. So alongside the method acting, I was like, the other reason I'm gonna wear the hat is because if I'm bald or not, you don't know. So going back to the blue light stuff, you can flip something that some people might see as an insecurity into your strength, right? And you can, there's a thing called supercell. I don't know if anyone's seen that on Netflix. How it like sickle cell is turned into superpower, right? It's like, that's what you always do. If there's something that people bother you about, turn that into a superpower. Make that your signature. That's your source of strength. No one can hurt you.
I love it. And that's all we have. Thank you so much, Elfried. We really, really appreciate it.
Let's get a huge round of applause